Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. We've got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty leagues, PPR leagues, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What is up? Welcome to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast on a Tuesday today here. My name is Tom Dougherty, your host. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. All right, today we are ever closer. Ever closer. I mean, obviously every week we get another week closer to this NFL season, and we're going to be seeing preseason getting started here in just a few weeks. I know the Ravens, I think, have had their rookies come already for training camp. We're going to see a lot more teams get started next week, as we're kind of in the middle of this dead week right now in the NFL, and then we'll get a bunch of guys coming into their camps and getting ready for this next 2018-2019 season in the NFL. However, yesterday was a big day, though. Even though it was a dead period day, yesterday was a big day, and it could be a big day. I mean, I don't know, fantasy implication, you could figure out and extrapolate out. Yes, there probably could be some fantasy implication in the fact that yesterday was the deadline day for those who have been franchise tagged to sign long-term deals. So if there was no long-term deal, if a guy like Le'Veon Bell, for example, Le'Veon Bell was franchise tagged again by the Steelers, and they were not able to negotiate and agree on a long-term deal after this franchise tag period ends, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's the third time it's happened to Le'Veon. They haven't been able to figure it out. So he just will become a free agent again next year at the end of the year. It happened to a couple other guys, and we'll go over them as we get there. But playing under a 1-year contract like that, basically it's a 1-year contract. He's getting paid a good amount of money because that's how the franchise tag works. Every time you get franchise tagged, it goes up. Because it's kind of it's trying to get the team to not use it, even though that it's actually a really good tool, especially for a running back position like Le'Veon Bell, where he gets a bunch of touches and has a lot of wear and tear. And I mean, we really don't want it to happen, because we love watching Le'Veon. We love watching him play. We want him on the field, but just statistically, all those touches, all the tackles, all the wear and tear, and all the stuff that he's done, to go this long without sustaining some sort of injury that's going to keep him out for an extended period of time. He's been banged up in a little bit, and he's also had to deal with some suspension stuff. But that all goes in the account of the Steelers saying, we're on like the thin ice here. We're kind of running our timeout, where Le'Veon is going to either burn out, which I don't think he will, because he's a very very highly prepared and highly professional athlete, but things happen, and injuries happen, and it's the NFL. It's a collision sport, and you want to be prepared as a team. So running back, that's why you don't really see running back signing any sort of long-term deal. I think the Niners just signed Jerick McKinnon to a 2 or 3 year deal, which is about as long as it'll get for a running back, because their shelf life is not very long to begin with. The average career length is not very long. And they get tackled a lot. They get beat up. It's a tough position. It's you get tackled almost every play unless you're running out of bounds. I mean, it's rough. And even when you don't get the ball, you can get blown up by a linebacker when you're trying to block for your quarterback. So I mean, things happen. And the Steelers, I know that you think that for Le'Veon, he's done so much for that team. Okay, why isn't he getting a contract? Well, because The clock is ticking. It's almost like the Steelers are on borrowed time. Look at all these other injuries we've seen around the country, of the NFL, around the league, and see that Le'Veon's been kind of unscathed so far. So cross your fingers again. He gets through the season unscathed again, or at least for him. But it's tough for a player because they're nervous. I bet they're nervous about not getting a paycheck. They're nervous about not being able to provide for their families if they get hurt and don't have some sort of guaranteed money down the road. Obviously, I mean, the guy's getting paid what? I think the franchise tag this year was like 30-something, some crazy number for Le'Veon in the franchise tag. So, I mean, if he does how to spend his money correctly, he'll be okay. You can survive off of that 1 year. And, I mean, he's been under the franchise tag, I think, the last 2 years before this as well. So, it's really gone up. But no, they couldn't sign. And then obviously the whole news coming out yesterday with his agent talking to Adam Schefter saying that, this is likely going to be his last year in Pittsburgh. So if that has any fantasy implications, if the fact that this is coming out well before the season, or is it going to blow over and then we'll kind of forget about it. And then maybe you remember it later when the Steelers get knocked out of the playoffs again. Or what if the Steelers win the Super Bowl this year and he's like, I don't want to leave. You can franchise tag me again. Or maybe I'll actually sign for an appropriate amount of money. So it's interesting to see what he's going to do. And for a player who's going to be on the top of a lot of your fantasy boards, do you guys think this is going to have any sort of effect on his performance this season? Do you think, I mean, honestly, it's a contract year for him. It's like being in a contract year, even though he's not going to be going back to the Steelers as of now. He's saying so, at least his agent is. He's basically going to use this whole year as a tryout for every other team and try and see if he can squeak out a 3-year contract with somebody and actually get some guaranteed money down the road. And that's what he's wanted from the Steelers. That's what he's going to want probably in the future. And if he's going to put out there's going to be a team there will be a team. There will be a team that will do it. I know there will, because there's teams out there who will see Le'Veon and say, that guy's going to sell tickets. That guy's going to get touchdowns. That guy's points right there. So I mean, that's jersey sales. That's everything. So I mean, it'll be worth it for a team out there. I don't know what team right now. Well, we can identify some as we go along, but there will be a team out there that would do something the Steelers want. If it's to get Le'Veon Bell, yeah, we'll sign. We'll give you 2 years, $40 million, or 2 years, $43 million, or whatever he wants. Because he's not a he's not a quarterback. He is gonna. I do have to side with the Steelers a little bit here. Some of the reports I've seen out for the money he's asking for is kind of crazy. I'm like, dude, you don't throw the ball. You run the ball, and if you trip, like you could just all of a sudden be running and pull a hamstring, and then we're screwed. So I mean, that's kind of what that's why there's a franchise tag in this sport, and that's why that you don't see long-term contracts for running backs. But this is a fantasy show, so what are the fantasy implications? Do you think that Le'Veon's going to let this affect him? Do you think he's going to ramp it up even higher this year because he knows that he's going to prove himself to get a new contract with somebody else? And if he really wants to, I mean, honestly, knowing Le'Veon, I feel like he's proven enough. He thinks he probably has proven enough too. He's been the best player, the best running back in the NFL. So that I digress. And he's still, like I said, this is the NFL's Young Stars show, because I will get to that in a second. But Le'Veon's still a young star. I mean, the guy's only, I think, 26 years old. But, I mean, running backs, like I said, we just had DeMarco Murray retire. He's 30. Or was he 29? He was close to right around 30. And that's about the age you see running backs go. So, I mean, Le'Veon's 26. He's only got about maybe 4 or 5 years. And now I'm seeing reports saying that Le'Veon Bell reportedly turned down a monstrous $70 million deal from the Steelers. So they did actually offer him $70 million for 5 years, which is crazy. I don't think he's going to get that. That's what, $14 million a year? Yeah, so $14 million a year. But if you're Le'Veon, would you rather take like less years but more money per year? Or is that? I mean, he declined that. I think the players, they have a tendency. I mean, he wants the security. 5 years, that's a lot of security. So I guess maybe he just really didn't want to have to commit. I guess he probably got scared by having to commit for 5 years back to the Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger. But I mean, there's probably twofold here. It's the fact that he wants to change the scenery, and the fact that he probably wants to change the scenery and wants to get more than $14 million a year. I think he wants to close to that $20 million a year number, and is probably willing to take less years to get to that number. So if you're looking at somewhere like a 3-year 60 or something like that, then that's probably what he wants. And especially if you turn out a $70 million deal for 5 years. So yeah, Le'Veon, we'll find out what you're going to do. I mean, we're not really worried about your contract, Le'Veon. We're worried about what kind of points you're going to put up for our fantasy teams this year. But if you're worried about your contract situation while you're running the ball for the Steelers this year and letting that affect you, what if it all goes to? I mean, the Steelers are too good. Their offensive line is too good. Their weapons on the outside are too good. The defense there's too many weapons, so they're going to get spread thin anyway. So Le'Veon, I'm not saying that he's going to have a tank year. There's no way. It's too. I mean, honestly, I don't know. They changed. Todd Haley's gone, changing over the offensive coordinator. So I might see a little bit of a hiccup there, but they have plenty of time to get you to readjust that. That's not a big deal. So, I mean, you still got Ben Roethlisberger, Hall of Famer. You still got Antonio Brown, probably going to be a Hall of Famer. You still got the young, dynamic Juju Smith-Schuster. You still got Jesse James, and you still have. The defense is going to be interesting this year for the Steelers. I'm not sure how strong it's actually going to be. That was their kind of Achilles heel. It's been their strength for so long, but then last year it comes back to bite them. They score 40 points in a divisional playoff game and still lose. Just whatever. Looking at this year, I was trying to. I mean, you can try and think the contract negotiations or the fact that couldn't turn down a long-term deal, couldn't come to terms with it, and is now going to just have to go under that franchise tag, which I think is like 20. I mean, the thing is, if you're making a good amount of money with the franchise tag, I think he's making like 15 or 16 with the franchise tag. You're going to go down to 14 just with the contract. I don't know. I don't. That's kind of a weird offer because you're going to. I feel like you're going to kind of scare him with the year commitment. That's what you. I think 3 years is a better, easier commitment to make as a player at least. But then I think the average annual value is what kind of screwed that one up. But looking at this franchise tag, I just want to make sure that's actually accurate. So I mean, he's saying that this is so $14.5 million is the franchise tag. So that's what they were. It's a $14-15 million for this year for the franchise tag for Le'Veon Bell. So I mean, that's not crazy, but I mean, for a running back in the NFL, just not thinking about what he's done, just knowing as running backs in the NFL and how vulnerable they are, that's a lot of money. And I mean, yeah, he probably wants something like I said, in between 17 and 20 million a year. I bet that's why he's turned down $70 million from the team that you've been with your whole career, and you said that you wanted to be a Steeler for your whole career, and now you are not. You're just like, no. I'm going to see if I can get probably. I mean, watch him. I wouldn't be surprised. There's going to be a team out there who's going to offer him $18 million a year. There will. If it's 60-4 or if it's like 55-3 or something like that, you can do the math however you want. But I mean, I think 5 years was too long, honestly, and then. The $70 million to get to $14 million a year, even though he's already making more than that with the franchise tag. So, I mean, the Steelers expecting him to take a discount because he's getting more years. Okay, but no, he turned it down and said no. All right. I don't think it's going to affect his fantasy performance this year. Whether I know contract negotiations and contract holdouts and stuff like that have put red flags up and everything. I don't think he's going to be holding out this season because this is the deadline right now to get a long-term deal done. So he's just going to play under his franchise tag, and then if he walks away, he walks away. It's July right now, and obviously agents say things, and they talk to Adam Schefter, and they say things, and whether it's going to be the same kind of story in January after the Super Bowl, we'll find out. I mean, it's going to be an interesting ride getting through the season, but we're more focused on this coming season. We're focused on getting to training camp, getting through preseason, everybody healthy, and getting to the draft, which, I mean, you guys shouldn't be drafting till the last week of the preseason. Don't mess around. Maybe you can draft like after week 3 because they don't really play the starters in week 4, but don't mess around. The last thing you want is drafting somebody and them getting hurt in a preseason game. So that's why I always say wait on your drafts as long as you possibly can, and before the first week of the season. All right, we'll come back and we'll talk about the NFL. Well, ESPN came out with their best team under 25. So it's like the best player at each position that's under 25 years old, and there was some controversy with that. So we'll do that when we come back. Stay tuned.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast on a Tuesday today here. As now we're actually going to go over the young stars in the NFL here. Well, at least this is the team that the best NFL lineup under 25. ESPN had 43 experts vote and put this together. So, I mean, a lot of it was I mean, the New Orleans Saints were not happy about it because I don't think they had one player on here. And they have a bunch of guys. Oh, Marshawn Lattimore is right there. Okay, so he's right there. But they're missing a receiver and a running back on there probably. And there's a couple running backs actually who were probably snubbed in place of a rookie who has not even. Well, he hasn't played a preseason snap. He hasn't gone to training camp yet. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't gotten on the MetLife Stadium in real pads in a real game situation at all. Ever. Yet. And it's going to happen, I know it will. But Saquon Barkley does not at all, no, belong on this list. No way. Because he's an NFL player, quote unquote, because he got drafted by an NFL team and he was signed an NFL contract, but he has not played in an NFL game yet. So the fact that he's on this under 25 lineup is ridiculous. Actually, 2 guys on this lineup who haven't played a snap yet. Not one snap yet in the NFL. Quentin Nelson's on here too. That's offensive. I mean, obviously he's a guard and he's very good. I know that, but you can probably figure out another guard in the NFL that, I mean, I don't know, maybe not under 25. So that one I'm not going to worry about as much, but there's at least three guys who could have gone in that slot, along with Todd Gurley. The fact that Saquon gets in there over Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Alvin Kamara, all guys who have put up some serious numbers in the NFL. I know obviously some of them more and less time than others, because this is just, what have you done for me lately? Played for Penn State, couldn't break 3 yards of carry for how many games? How many games did you break 3 yards of carry? I know. You can call me a Saquon hater all you want. I'm just the hubbub is. I'm not excited about it. I'm excited about him prove me wrong, hopefully, because I don't want to wish any negativity on people. But this is just ridiculous sometimes. Ridiculous. How highly tower, like, it's just, what's he gonna do? Run for 2,000 yards in his rookie season? Doesn't. Okay. I mean, just crazy how much hype this guy's getting, and he hasn't played a down yet, and he didn't even have the goodest stats in college. I know the intangibles are great. The combine was great. The weightlifting videos are great. He bought his mom a house, which is great. That's what everybody, honestly, that should be a requirement. If your parents need a house, or some family member needs some sort of living arrangement to be figured out for them, or a better living arrangement than they were before, you should buy them. If you sign a contract like that, that's a no-brainer. It's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, yes, look at Saquon. He's so, yeah, that's what you do. Marquise Goodwin just bought his mom and sister a brand new house here in California. So I'm like, whatever. Of course, if you put it on the ESPN or NFL Instagram page, then it's going to get blown up. But Tom, what about his fantasy outlook for this year? What about Saquon's fantasy outlook? Saquon's fantasy outlook, he's not going to do bad. But the only problem is I don't think he's going to be that consistent. He's not. He's going to be good in spurts. He's going to have better games than others. He's still a rookie. He's not Chris Johnson. He's not Adrian Peterson. He's not. He's Saquon Barkley. He's the Giants running back. He's got a 37-year-old quarterback in front of him and a diva little wide receiver with knobby ankles out wide. Honestly, I like the other two players they have with him. I like Evan Ingram. I like Sterling Shepard. I'm not big on. I know that Odell is this great talent. He's got, everybody can catch the dang ball like that. They got to stick them on their hands basically with those gloves they have now. Why don't you actually contribute to a victory for your team? Because you look at the stats. Odell doesn't really equate wins. Receivers don't really do that anyways. Quarterbacks, and yes, okay, running backs, they do. Which is why I can even go back and say the Giants should have took Sam Darnold. Whatever, it's over. I'm not gonna. We're gonna let that lie as it is. We're past that. The draft was months ago. But as far fantasy wise, Saquon, it's the same kind of thing as this whole like under 25 list. Saquon's getting put up in the top 10 of a lot of boards, a lot of draft boards. All these mock drafts I'm doing, he's like a 7th, 8th, 9th, depending on if you PPR or not. I'm like, how do you possibly know? Trent Richardson was the greatest thing on turf. Couldn't play. All the workout videos. He could probably lift as much weight as Saquon can. Probably could do all the same workouts. Bo Scarborough probably could do the same thing. Yep, he could. I don't know, Mulmy. The 40 time is probably what they're so enamored by, is the fact that he could do all that and still run that fast. That's the one thing I'm enamored by, but okay. So NFL defenses can run that fast. Let's think about it. He plays in the NFC East. Oh, you're gonna have to play against the defending world champion with the Eagles. Good luck running through Parrish Cox every day, twice a year. Have fun with that. I mean, honestly, you're gonna have safeties coming out and down on you too as well. So I mean, Malcolm Jenkins ain't gonna hit soft on you. He's gonna come down hard on you. So I mean, it's just I don't like rookie running backs anyways. That high in the draft. Please bring on the Ronald Jones, bring on the Sony Michel, bring on the Kerryon Johnson. Well, not really Kerryon. I just wish he was in a less crowded backfield. It's the one guy who I'm like, I really love him. I love him. Not as a first round guy, not even a second round, or maybe even probably a 4th, 5th, 6th round guy, obviously. But he's in a crowded backfield in Detroit. We'll have to see throughout training camp what kind of moves they're going to make. I mean, obviously, roster sizes will be cut down, and obviously decisions will be made. I mean, I think he's pretty much safe, and so is LeGarrette Blount. I think it's going to be either Riddick or Amir Abdullah that's going to get the boot. So I think he's going to be okay, but not still too crowded in Detroit. But as far as it goes with young running backs who could have, like I said, could have been in that slot, I think all three of those guys, Zeke, Kamara, and maybe even Leonard Fournette, I'd pick before Saquon Barkley. They have shown it on the level, even though, Leonard Fournette, it's been, 1 or 2 years, and then Kamara's been 1 year. Zeke, we've seen what he can do. He has, obviously, the offensive line to do it. The Giants, they didn't really get any run blockers. They got Nate Solder on the offensive line. He's a pass blocker. He's left tackle. So, I mean, you saw how much the offensive line in Dallas can make or break Ezekiel Elliott. You saw. So, I mean, it's very interesting to see how... It's going to be very interesting to see how Saquon... I'm going to be watching with hawk eyes on you. But, I wish him the best. I want him to do well. The NFL is a better league when the Giants are a good team. Obviously, they're in the NFC East, so I want him to beat the Cowboys a couple times this year. But then, they're gonna have to. He's going to have to learn. I mean, he's going to have to learn that. We watched him. He was on the "Hey Rookie, welcome to the NFL," so we have the cameras around him all the time leading up to the draft, through the draft. I mean, I watched the one where he was actually sitting out the draft. The guy's a pretty smart kid, but he's also pretty confident. I mean, he's a pretty confident kid. So, I mean, when he gets popped in the mouth for the first time, I'm sure he'll bounce right back up. But welcome to the NFL, rookie, is going to be something that's probably going to be said to him a couple different times on Sundays when he gets popped by the big defensive lineman or linebacker or safety for the first time whenever he plays. The guy, if there's a target on somebody's back, it's him. it's him. He's one of the highest drafted running backs we've seen in a long time, and it's him. So, I don't even know, rookie seasons are weird anyways. The greatest rookie season was probably Randy Moss. Receivers it can be easier to have a rookie season like that, but I know I take too much time. Taking too much time on Saquon. What's going on? This is a fantasy show. Yeah, we get it. Don't draft Saquon in the first round. Okay. Yeah, you have plenty of other players. You have, the thing is, they're like, oh, he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to be a weapon in the passing game. Well, yeah, it's going to be because Eli's going to have to use him for a lot of checkdowns every year. Every drive. He's going to be check down. They're going to have, the defenses are going to key on him, right? They're going to basically, they're like, oh, Sterling Shepard's going to have a down year because Odell is back and they have Saquon. Well, the defenses are going to key on them. Sterling Shepard's going to be roaming free, baby. Roaming free out there. And Eli Manning does not have any allegiances to anybody. He is a Super Bowl winning, a Super Bowl MVP quarterback who will get the ball to whoever's open. So if the defenses are bracketing Odell on one side of the field, and they have a linebacker, or they actually put a nickel corner on Saquon, so it's a little tougher to get separation. They get to do zone, man-to-man zone. Sterling Shepard is going to be roaming free. Evan Ingram, roaming right free. So, if anything, these two getting those two big stars on your offense will also open up holes for the other peripheral players on your team, even though Evan Ingram is very good, not peripheral at all. And then Sterling Shepard's, honestly, he's shown talent as well. He's actually had NFL experience and shown that he can play and do it in the NFL. I know they're like, oh, but are you saying Saquon can't play? I'm not saying he can't play. I just, looking at his college stats, looking at Ezekiel Elliott's college stats, looking at Christian McCaffrey's college stats, and seeing how they translate from college to the NFL. He played at a pro-style offense at Penn State. He played in the Big Ten against a lot of pro-style teams. Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska. All these teams run pro-style schemes on defense, and they're not. This is all real power offense football, grinded out, play action passes. This is not read option and your spread offense. This is the Big Ten football. It's real football. So, yeah, he's got the experience, but he also didn't put that many numbers up. He never had that many carries. The durability is not going to be there. Pat Shurmur is going to have to kid glove this kid a lot, and it's going to affect your fantasy team. So that's why you don't pick him. They're going to put training wheels on him for at least the first 6 weeks. He probably won't break 30 carries or 30 touches. 30 carries. He might not break 20 carries in the first few weeks. Come on. You can't break your Ferrari because you ran him. You raced him too hard in the first two races. You can't do that. You have a lot more races to go with that Ferrari. So don't break the Ferrari. And he is a Ferrari. Believe me, he is. He can be good. He can be that good. I know the intangibles are. I mean, everything, all the skill sets, all the numbers he put up at the combine are great. They are there for a reason. The guy is a specimen. But just seeing, he's a home run hitter. He's a home run hitter. He's going to break off those big games. He's going to be flashy. He's going to be all over Sports Center and on Instagram and on Twitter and everything. But when it comes to actually picking up first downs and moving the chains and being a bell cow back, I don't know. There's too many other guys in this league that are good enough. And when it comes to fantasy, you should pick them over Saquon and not really worry about a rookie who has not proved himself whatsoever on the NFL fields throughout the league. All right, we'll come back after the break and we'll cover some more running backs and then also talk about the wide receivers who I think should have been on this list. I know the two that were picked are pretty worthy, but there are a couple who were definitely snubbed, and I like them a lot. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA Podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast on a Tuesday today, as we were talking about the young stars in the NFL. As I mean, look at the top 10 of like where you think people are going to go with the draft. They're all there. A lot of them are there. You got Gurley's there, Zeke, who I mean is not on the list but should be probably. Kamara's on that list. I mean, Michael Thomas isn't on. Well, Kamara's not on this list, the ESPN list, but he's on the list of like the top 10 guys are probably going to get drafted in fantasy this year. And then also like Michael Thomas should be on that list. Is not. The Saints were not very happy. They I think I was right when they posted that, announced that list on Instagram with the post on the SportsCenter account. The Saints Instagram account just came on as like they didn't even say anything. They just commented nothing. They just put like eyeballs or whatever. I don't think they even put anything because they were just not like, we see this, but we're not happy about it because you snubbed two of our players. I thought I actually didn't even see Marshawn Lattimore on there, but he was on there under the corner for cornerback. So, I mean, it's pretty funny actually when teams get involved on social media. But you know, fantasy wise, a lot of our stars are young stars, and looking at the top 10 guys, I mean, you got, like I said, Zeke, Gurley, Le'Veon Bell's not no old. I think he's like 26, 27. I mean, neither is David Johnson. So, I mean, you got a bunch of guys on there. DeAndre Hopkins, he's younger. I mean, obviously, like Thomas, the NFL, they're all young. We're talking about, I mean, David Johnson's 26. I'm pretty sure Le'Veon Bell's 26. Maybe that's probably about the median age for a running back, isn't it? Yeah. So Le'Veon Bell is 26. Just checking that one. But you know, looking at the top 10, I mean, Odell Beckham is pretty young. It was Odell on the running back. The receivers on this list, on the actual ESPN one, were Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill, which is very interesting because Stephon Diggs actually is ranked way beneath his own teammate Adam Thielen on fantasy boards. And really not that far, maybe about 10 guys down. And then Tyreek Hill he's a little more valuable in fantasy because he is going to get the rushing yards with those end arounds and the jet sweeps and such like that. So I do get that, but the fact that you don't have Michael Thomas in there as a receiver is not over Saquon. Stephon Diggs. No, we get it. That one play was pretty cool, but Michael Thomas is a better technical receiver. I bet you he has a better year this year because he's not going to be sharing catches and sharing targets with Adam Thielen, who also himself is a very, very, very good receiver. I mean, were they saying under 25? Because under 25, so Michael Thomas actually is 25. So okay, that makes sense. I see why they didn't put him on there. Okay, I'll give it to you. But Alvin Kamara, that's a joke. Honestly, I mean, Todd Gurley deserves to be on there. I do understand that, but Saquon, buddy, you haven't played a snap yet. I know I talked about you for 30 minutes. I'll stop now. As far as it goes to quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, that's a good one. I mean, I know Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz actually is a little bit older, but I mean, basically, it's Deshaun Watson. Jared is better than. I mean, probably shown better talent or better potential than Jared Goff, even though Jared Goff did have the full season last year and show off that he's good enough to get his team to a playoff game and to a good seed in the playoffs. Obviously, he needs to get a little more experience in the playoffs and actually win a game. But no, I think Carson Wentz is actually 25. So there you go. He didn't qualify. That's why we get Deshaun Watson in there as your guy. And I mean, Deshaun Watson, I get it. Yeah, he's young. He's going to heal quickly. He's come back from an ACL injury before. But that's the thing. He's come back from an ACL injury before. It's not his first one. I'm just so skeptical. I would love to have him. I loved watching him. I loved watching him at Clemson. I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan. He's a great guy. I love what he does off the field. Does a great interview. Seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulders. Competitive guy, hard worker. Obviously, you saw what he did with what he was doing with J.J. Watt. Obviously, what an interesting team to be on, and then get hurt and have to rehab, and the players get to rehab with. You get to rehab with J.J. Watt, and then probably even a little bit with Jadeveon Clowney, as they both are kind of. Well, Clowney's, I think he's better a little bit. He was getting healthier quicker than J.J. was. His injury obviously wasn't as bad, but he's rehabbing with J.J. Watt, and you're going to learn. If you're going to learn one thing from J.J. Watt as an offensive player, obviously, if you're a defensive player, you're going to learn a lot. But if you're as an offensive player, you're learning work ethic. You're learning heart. You're learning hustle. You're learning strength. You're learning discipline. You're learning work ethic 101 with J.J. Watt, and Deshaun Watson being under his tutelage and working with him throughout his rehab, I'm sure, is only going to help him. And you've seen. When a young quarterback who's barely played in a year in a town for months, not even. This is a kid from Georgia who went to school in South Carolina, and now he's in Texas. I mean, they're usually those. I don't want to talk about state rivalries and stuff like that, but they don't like each other. The people, not saying they don't like each other very much. I'm not saying that, but just it's a different scenario. Usually, okay, you're going to be, some guys are allegiant more to their hometown teams, but no, he took that. He's taking Houston, and he's familiar. I don't know what word am I saying? Just adorn himself to the city, familiarize himself with a fan base. He went out and supported the Houston Rockets in their season and their run in the playoffs this year. Was buddy with James Harden. When a guy feels comfortable at that young age, and he's out there in social media and out there with the media, it's talking to them about these teams and putting out quotes regarding the NBA playoffs and stuff like that. So the guy likes to get involved. The guy's a sports fan. He's a student of the game, and he also isn't afraid of the spotlight, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. But I think in this day and age, it's better to be more comfortable in the spotlight because you're going to be forced into it more often than not. And Deshaun Watson, obviously being at Clemson right when they get popped onto the national stage and you win a national championship, you're like, oh, wow, okay, well, I can get kind of used to this. And then you go to a Texans team and you have some good weapons. That roster, on the running back situation, I think they're going to be 1 year off. They might be a team that's going to be in the market for maybe a Bryce Love this year if they are able to make a move, because their running back situation is still kind of in flux there in Texas, in Houston. But quarterback situation, good. Check mark that box. Receivers, you're good. You got Will Fuller and you got DeAndre Hopkins. I think you're fine. And then defense, you're fine. You got Jonathan Joseph. You got obviously Marcelo. I mean, obviously you got Watt and Jadeveon and such. So I mean, and you also have a good little. I'm trying to think of that because the other young cornerback they have now that was actually featured on Hard Knocks when they had Hard Knocks. He's pretty darn good too. So they have some good talent on that Texans team. They can go far. I mean, a lot of people picked them before JJ got hurt and before Deshaun got hurt to win that Central to the South. I mean, you saw two teams from that division actually go to the playoffs. So, I mean, it's going to be tough competition. You're going to play Jacksonville twice. You're going to play the Titans twice. You're going to play now Andrew Luck hopefully is back healthy and can play a full season with in Indianapolis. So that AFC South is going to be nasty. I mean, you look at those quarterbacks. The guy who went to the AFC Championship game last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has probably the best defense in that division, is probably the least talented quarterback, Blake Bortles. Then you have Marcus Mariota, Andrew Luck, and Deshaun Watson. And if Deshaun Watson's defense can get up to its highly powered ways, watch out for the Texans because it's probably will come down to the defenses for sure. But Jacksonville probably likes their chances. I mean, I'm not going to knock Jacksonville. They got a good little running back there too. And Leonard Fournette, who I wanted to get to as well, how is he not on this list? I mean, if it's not Gurley and Kamara, it's Gurley and Fournette or Fournette and Kamara or Gurley or all three of them. You put Saquon in front of, not only you put him in front of the offensive player of the year last year, offensive rookie of the year last year, you put him ahead of a guy who had a crazy college career and then also was on the team that went to the AFC Championship game, was within a play of going to the Super Bowl last year, and he played injured. He played, like I said, he played banged up. He's still been able to put up the points. He's got in the end zone last year. Has a nose for the end zone. Leonard Fournette does. Loved watching him run in college. And then I was like, can he translate to the NFL? Obviously, this guy's a beast. He's putting up these crazy runs in college. Can he do it in the NFL? Yes, he's a good enough technical runner to be able to find holes in the NFL that are going to close up a lot quicker than they do in college. And he's also strong enough and big enough to break tackles in the NFL, which is basically the only test you need to do. Because college is great. You can see a running back go great in college. There's question marks regarding, okay, the guys are bigger and they're faster in the NFL. So can you break a tackle from a bigger, faster guy and you can get through the hole that's going to close up faster than it does in college? So, that's the question mark, and he passed both those tests with flying colors last year, showing off his talents very much. It's just got to stay healthy. Obviously, that's the same thing going for everybody, so maybe that's why he didn't miss the list. But still, the 43 experts really. I really hope it was a close race, and Saquon didn't just run away with that selection because I know it's probably taking too much out of a silly little list that ESPN puts together. But it's just still kind of ridiculous that you have 43 experts and they put a guy who has not been on the field yet. He is yet to have his first NFL touch in preseason. And he's on the best NFL lineup. I mean, talk about potential, man. They could pump up this kid this guy could just go to the Hall of Fame based off of hubbub and props, I guess. Just induct him already. He's done. He's good. Ugh. I mean, believe me. Do you guys probably think, Tom wants Saquon to do bad so he can prove him right? No, I don't want that. I want to be wrong. I want Saquon to do good because I like the Giants. I want them to play well in that division. Like I said, the NFL is a better league when the Giants are good, but I just don't think he's going to be the freaking crazy dude that everybody thinks he's going to be. I think Kamara, there's so many good young running backs in our league right now that it's kind of hard to stand out. Obviously, Todd Gurley did last year a little bit more, obviously, so Kareem Hunt did, who also could be on this list. And so could, Kamara, obviously. So, and then you got Zeke down in Dallas. So, there's room for more, obviously. There's 32 teams. Everybody wants a star. They got one in New York, and hopefully he can live up to it. You look at the translations. You look at Christian McCaffrey's stats in college in the Pac-12. Played against top competition every year. Played against Notre Dame. Played against USC's defenses. Not against slouchy defenses like in the Big 12. Pac-12 is very kind of similar to the Big 10. Where you're playing a lot of pro-style offenses, a lot of good defensive schemes, a lot of more advanced defensive schemes. So, You saw Christian McCaffrey put up over 4 yards a carry every game. Every single game. Saquon did over 3 yards a carry once. Or maybe was it 4 yards? Once. I've looked at it. He's a big gainer back. I mean, you saw he goes like 20 yards. He'll run 20 carries, 150 yards, long carries, a 50-yarder. He's got like 2 of them. He's got a 50-yarder and a 40-yard, which is great. You love that. But defenses in the NFL don't let those happen very often. So if you're banking on it every drive, I don't think Pat Shurmur is because he's a smart guy. But, I mean, if you're Giants fans and you're just like, oh, he's going to bust one, just keep waiting. All right, we'll come back after and do the last segment of the day today. We'll go look at the rest of this list. I'll talk about maybe a little more quarterback stuff and as well as some more young receivers. I know there's a guy up in Green Bay who thinks he's kind of underrated and forgotten. This is going to be his first year with Aaron Rodgers as a number one quarterback, a number one receiver with Aaron Rodgers. So look out for him as well. We'll talk about him next. Stay tuned.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, final segment of the day today here on the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast as we finish up with some talk on this list and more young players in the NFL. I know that the tight end actually is Evan Ingram, which is a good pick. I love Evan Ingram. Usually tight ends are a little older, but anyways, before they just kind of jump onto the scene. But Evan Ingram's definitely shown the ability to mature quickly and use his size and quickness to be a force in this league. And I mean, he kind of gets forgotten underneath the guise of Odell Beckham and all the splendor that guy brings. But I mean, I think Eli Manning's going to be using him a lot this year. I think that they're going to, like I said, defenses are going to really be keying on Saquon and on Odell. They're going to forget about, they're not going to forget about Evan Ingram. He's just too good to forget about, but they're going to be really stretched thin. So, I mean, Eli, he's good enough to spread the ball around. So, he throws little darts. So, maybe they're going to be a lot more of the kind of West Coast offense. We're going to have, like I said, they're going to work Saquon into the offense a lot. That's why Saquon, I think, does have a lot of value and could still be a first-round pick and could be a early second-round pick in the fantasies because he's going to catch the ball a lot out of the backfield. He's going to catch the ball a lot. He'll probably average like 6-7 catches a game, which is right where you want if you're a fantasy owner because that's automatic points for PPR. So PPR, he's very valuable. It's just going to be interesting to see how he can get those the carries and see if he can get the yards per carry up there close or maybe even higher than he was in college. But you never know. We'll see when that gets there. But it's definitely going to be catching the ball out of the backfield from Eli Manning a lot, whether it's on a check down or design play, screens. They're going to be a lot of screens, I'm sure, with his speed and power combination. So that's probably why. I mean, PPR, he's a lot higher up than non-PPR, so that makes sense. But no, definitely like Evan Ingram. I'd rather take Evan Ingram on my team than Odell Beckham. I think he's gonna, like I said, he's gonna have more opportunities for targets, especially in the red zone. I know the Giants like to throw it to Odell, but defenses they're going to stick two guys on him very easily. They're going to put a linebacker on the running back and have probably a safety over the top of that one too. So they're going to have two more guys keyed on the running back, so they have less guys to worry about their Sterling Shepard's like, oh, he's a bust this year. I don't know. I think he might end up being pretty halfway decent this year because of the fact that he's going to be open. A lot. He's going to get single coverage every time. Every single time Sterling Shepard will likely be single covered. And Evan Ingram might surely well be too. To play action passing with that running back is going to be deadly up there in New York. And Evan Ingram is going to be the benefactor of that for sure. But so definitely look for that to be a key this year for the Giants. And for your fantasy team, Evan Ingram, definitely a good option if you're looking for a tight end. There's pretty much 2 or 3 maybe tight ends who are above him. If you want to look at Gronk and Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, then Evan Ingram. I think there's tight ends. There's a lot of good tight ends in the league. Everybody should have a good tight end this year. I know Hunter Henry, unfortunately, we lost him for the year. That's a big blow for the Chargers. But tight ends, whether it's going to have Gronk, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, Delaney Walker, Greg Nelson. I can keep going. I'm trying to keep going here. Off the top of my head, Jordan Reed. Jack Doyle for the Colts is very good. Actually, very good. Even Greg Kittle. George Kittle on the Niners. Shows how good of a Niner fan I am. George Kittle, Jimmy Graham. I probably should keep going. Honestly, Cassius Clay. Sims. There's tons of good tight end talent out there, and they right now with the NFL, it's a lot. Get to the red zone, get it to your tight end. I know there's a lot of there's guys who get the ball in the red zone more than others because they're just like a Gronk or a Travis Kelce. That's why they're way up there in not only the tight end rankings but also the overall rankings because they get touches and they get volume, and that's what you want in fantasy. That's how you're going to get a lot of your points. But looking at that, I'm not really sure if any of those guys I listed actually as far as tight ends go are under 25. So Evan Ingram was an easy definitely an easy thing to get going for them. So all right, looking back at this list, we have some interesting names on the defense as well as the offense. I know we like to look at offense more, especially for fantasy. But all the names you expected are on the defense. It's just more of the interesting choices on offense, at least at the running back position. If you can say Todd Gurley is taking this. Todd Gurley deserves that spot. But there's just, can we have 2 more running back spots or 3? Kareem Hunt could be on this list. Kareem Hunt, you could have. I don't know how Zeke is. You're going to take Saquon Barkley over Zeke with that offensive line? It's just ridiculous. I think Zeke's honestly probably the highest upside in the league. Other than the fact that for some reason the Cowboys and Dak Prescott haven't really figured out how to exploit him that much out of the backfield throwing the ball. He's not really highly rated as far as getting targets out of the backfield. Maybe that changes this year. It's something that they wanted to maybe bring on us late to try and shock defenses. I don't think defenses are going to be that shocked when he gets the ball out of the backfield because he does get it sometimes. It's not as often as like a Le'Veon or even a Todd Gurley did last year. Coach Garrett wants to try and spread the field a little more, or they got a big a lot of wide receivers this year. Obviously forcing out Des Bryant and they're going to roll without him this year. They got a bunch of guys in that wide receiver room as well. But you're really going to take Zeke? Not take Zeke before Saquon Barkley? Is he that good? Do we know? Do you have a crystal ball? Rookies, they're unproven. Even Todd Gurley, he had a decent rookie season, went plummeted. Then obviously, you get a new coach, you get Sean McVay, you go back up. Great. But, Saquon, is he, I know people, all the pundits, all the experts, he's a can't bust talent. He's too good to bust, basically. Too good to bust. And he's on the Giants, so better than the Browns, I guess. Better than him going to the Browns, because if the Giants didn't pick him, he would have been on the Browns. He would have been on the Browns. Giants would have Sam Darnold. The Jets would have taken maybe I think Josh Rosen. They would have taken Josh Rosen probably for the Jets, and then the fourth pick would have been Saquon Barkley. Fifth, and then or he would have slid. I actually thought he might slide in the draft if he got past two. I thought he might slide because I thought that the Browns would still take the defensive player at number 4 because they already have a lot of running backs. They signed Carlos Hyde. They still have Duke Johnson. So they have running backs already in Cleveland. They obviously got Nick Chubb later in the draft. Probably were looking to get that later in the draft anyways, the coordinating running back, even though all the reports were out saying, they're going to pick Saquon with the first pick. No. But no, I thought he might slide all the way to like maybe Tampa Bay. I think they were like 6 or 7 because it would have been Baker. And it would have been Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen. 4 would have been either Bradley Chubb or maybe still pick Denzel Ward. 5 is Bradley Chubb. 6, now you're at 6. And now 6 I think was the Colts. I think they traded, or somebody traded the pick to move up in that area anyways. But anyway, the Colts got Quentin Nelson, and then it went as it did. So Saquon would have probably been 7th to Tampa Bay, which is what I thought might happen if the Giants were going to take a quarterback. But they say no, we're going to roll with our ancient quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I like Eli. I think Eli honestly can work in this offense because he's not going to have to throw the ball very far. He's not going to really have to throw. Unless they wanted to get some deep routes going with Odell. But if they really are smart, they run a bunch of crossing routes with Odell and Sterling Shepard. Get that defense moving. You run some pick plays, a lot of short passes. Use Odell's quickness, use Sterling Shepard's quickness, use even Evan Ingram's quickness and Saquon to kind of just, short dink and dunk, West Coast, move your way down the field and do it that way. And obviously, if you wear it on the defense enough, they're running back and forth with the passing game. That's when Saquon can really exploit that and get a big gainer out of the backfield with the running the ball. So. But I'm not Pat Schumer. I'm not calling plays for the Giants this year. I'm just saying, fantasy owners, they want obviously their player to get as many touches as possible in any means possible. So if you own Saquon Barkley, you hope that they kind of get to that, because he's going to get to be able to work into that passing game, and they'll also use the play action passing game as well to get Odell open down the field. So Giants. Maybe they think that they could try and win now, literally now, within the next 2 years with Eli Manning, given his experience in the playoffs and having to. I understand having to get a young quarterback developed would be a long process, and I just figure because you have a new head coach, a new GM, you're not really in a hurry to try and win now. You could win maybe in 2-3 years with Sam Darnold, but. No, they go with the running back because honestly, I think that they want to win this year, and you can win this year with a rookie running back. You can win with a rookie running back, and with an experienced quarterback. And if you have the weapons around you, which they do with Shepard and Odell and Evan Ingram, they can do a lot of things. So, Giants. They're in a tough division. The division's got a bunch of good that division's got some good quarterbacks in it too, with Carson Wentz and now Alex Smith's over there and Dak Prescott. So. They have some work to do, but that's going to be a fun one watching this season. Seeing Saquon, I can't wait. I think the Giants are coming to California to play the Niners here, so I have to get tickets to that game. I have to look at that one, so that'll be a fun one. All right. Okay, well, we talked a lot today about Saquon Barkley. I know when this list came out, I'm like, oh God, what? This is ridiculous. They all think he's going to go crazy. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a good fantasy running back. He's not going to go crazy. I don't think he's going to probably be just like everybody else. There's nothing really that crazy special. He's going to get a lot of touches. He hopefully can maybe up his yards per carry numbers from college. I just look at that and I'm just like red flag. Not that I said I wouldn't pick him. I like it's a quarterback driven league, and long term for the Giants, they're hoping maybe they get another. Is there going to be another Sam Darnold that rolls around? Maybe. So they'll just wait for that. But as of now, they want to win with Saquon. They want to win with Eli Manning. So to each their own. Have fun. Go do that. Go do it. They can. I mean, there's nothing like I said. You can win in the same year you draft a rookie running back. You probably couldn't the year you dropped a rookie quarterback. So, and then of course the whole drama of trying to transition Eli to Sam Darnold probably would be a big deal in New York, even though Sam Darnold's going to be in New York anyways. Just he actually is going to play on the same field as the Giants, and as Saquon Barkley as his first home field. This will be adorned in green and white versus red, white, and blue. As you know, the colors for either team in New York. All right, that'll wrap it up for the show today. As like I said, I kind of talked about Saquon Barkley. Also went over a bunch of young players and the NFL's young stars like Deshaun Watson and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt. We got tons of them. Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, obviously making this list. Evan Ingram, so many different guys out there, and they're all going to be fantasy beasts this year. They're all draftable. They're all going to be up in the top of the draft, and it's going to be fun seeing who does the best and who's going to win your guys' leagues this year. So we'll be with you right along the way, giving you the best advice and tips and news as it comes out. All right, everybody have a good Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday for another edition of this the Fantasy Football Podcast. College football is on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you'd like to tune in, that's the GSMC Football Podcast. The college football edition is the one that I do. Jesse does the football podcast, more of the NFL talk, general NFL football talk as well. So if you like college football, go tune into my show as well as Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can find that where you found this podcast as well. So everybody have a good Tuesday. Back on Thursday. Talk to you later. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.